Here's what Melissa Carrera said, by the way, or Melissa Barrera, sorry, has released a statement after she was fired from Screen 7 for being vocal about the genocide happening in Palestine. Silence is not an option for me. First and foremost, I condemn anti-Semitism and Islamophobia. I condemn hate and prejudice of any kind against any group of people. As a Latina, proud Mexicana, I feel the responsibility of having a platform that allows me the privilege of being heard, and therefore I have tried to use it to raise awareness about issues I care about and lend my voice to those in need. Every person on this earth, regardless of religion, race, ethnicity, gender, sexual orientation, or socioeconomic status, deserves equal human rights, dignity, and, of course, freedom. I believe a group of people are not their leadership and that no governing body should be above criticism. I pray day and night for no more deaths, for no more violence, and for peaceful coexistence. I will continue to speak out for those that need it most and continue to advocate for peace and safety, for human rights and freedom. Silence is not an option for me. She's fucking awesome. I want to get Melissa Barrera on stream. I don't know if I can. I can go through some of my friends to see if we can get them. We can do that. You can have Hera and Susan Sarandon on at the same time. I can. Yes, I did see Susan Sarandon's son's post. Susan Sarandon and her son are both HasanAbi heads. He said, okay, I'm really grateful to see people on Twitter defending my mom amidst a new era of McCarthyist blacklisting, but can you please stop using the clip of her getting her hair done with her honkers out? This guy goes, those honkers fed you. Have some respect, which is the greatest fucking reply I've ever read. It's so fair. It's so valid. There's not really much you can say about that. God, I love Twitter so much. This is like, as much as I hate the fucking platform and what it has become, these are the types of things that happen on this platform that I absolutely love and I can't let go of. So, Jenna Ortega exited Scream 7 after firing Melissa Barrera over Palestine posts, and Ortega is reportedly unable to film the sequel due to scheduling conflicts with Netflix's Wednesday. Jenna Ortega, on the other hand, has also been very vocal about being pro-Palestine, as you guys know. So this led to people speculating that she actually dropped out due to her perspective and due to Melissa Barrera being fired. However, I do think that this is still misinformation. Like, that speculation is incorrect, and that she literally dropped out of the sequel due to scheduling conflicts with the second season of her hit Netflix series Wednesday, in which she plays Wednesday Addams of the Addams Family. The Independent has contacted representatives Ortega and Spyglass. On Tuesday, 21st of November, a spokesperson confirmed to Variety that Barrera had been fired after her social media posts were interpreted anti-Semitic. By the way, for those of you who want to know what was considered anti-Semitic out of Melissa Barrera's takes, because they said, we have zero tolerance for anti-Semitism or the incitement of hate in any form, including false references to genocide, ethnic cleansing, Holocaust distortion, or anything that flagrantly crosses the line into hate speech, a Spyglass spokesperson told the publication. Well, let me tell you. Care to find out what it was that was considered so offensive? Sure hope it wasn't famous Israeli Holocaust scholar, genocide scholar Raz Segal's Jewish Currents magazine article that she posted on her story, where he talks about how the situation in Gaza has the makings of ethnic cleansing. Sure hope it's not something as fucking ridiculous as that. Oh no. Oh no. Uh-oh. It turns out, yes, it exactly is that. Turns out she got booted from the franchise for reposting Israeli genocide scholar Raz Segal's words in the Jewish Currents magazine, calling Israel a textbook case of genocide. Not even her statements, but instead this. The assault on Gaza can be understood in terms of as a textbook case of genocide unfolding in front of our eyes. I say this as a scholar of genocide who has spent many years writing about Israeli mass violence against Palestinians. I've written about settler colonialism and Jewish supremacy in Israel, the distortion of the Holocaust to boost the Israeli arms industry, the weaponization of anti-Semitism, accusations to justify Israeli violence against Palestinians, and the racist regime of Israeli apartheid. Now, following Hamas's attack on Saturday and the mass murder of more than 1,000 Israeli civilians, the worst of the worst is happening. That blows my fucking mind. What do they mean, the distortion of the Holocaust? Oh, that is Raz Segal's own writing, where he writes about the distortion of the Holocaust specifically to drive up Israeli arms. There's a link there if you see it. Okay? Here it is. If you want to follow it or if you want to give it a read, it's on The Nation. Distorting the Holocaust to boost the international arms trade. If whitewashing Bulgaria's history during the Second World War helps an Israeli arms company get a contract, who could possibly object? Written by Raz Segal and Amos Goldberg. I think that's ridiculous. Susan Sarandon just got dropped by UTA. Very cowardly. The head of CAA's like motion pictures division is, as far as I understand, like one of the only like Libyan women of color in a position of power in fucking Hollywood, and she was slated to be dropped entirely from CAA, and then Tom Cruise stepped up and was like, "No, you can't do that. This is my agent. I want her to stay." And a bunch of like the powerful clients of CAA had to stand for her so that she didn't lose her job entirely. It is so fucking scummy, so nasty, so fucked up that this is what's happening. You have Melissa Barrera, who was dropped from Scream 7 for literally, it's like comical, for putting forth on her social media profile, on her Instagram story, a Jewish Currents magazine article from Holocaust and genocide historian scholar Raz Segal's article on Jewish Currents magazine on how Israel is a textbook case for genocide. This man is a genocide scholar. He's Israeli, he's Jewish, he's writing for Jewish Currents magazine, and posting that article in the eyes of Spyglass Studios or whatever the fuck was too far, was a bridge too far.
Yeah, so number one, let's call it what it is, cancel culture. So now
it's McCarthyism. It's the only real type of cancel culture that like has been so systematized in the United States of America. Historically speaking, cancel culture there has never been like a anti-Nazi cancel culture in America. Nazis have been historically defended under the auspices of free speech. The only time where we have historically allowed Congress and allowed politicians and allowed organizations to undermine political action that is supposed to be protected under the First Amendment is McCarthyism, Red Scare.
Yeah, and Bari Weiss started cancel culture by going around targeting Palestinian professors.
Oh, yeah.
Saying, how dare you treat Palestinians as human beings? You should be fired, right?
Yeah.
And then she pretended to be aggrieved by cancel culture. No, bitch, you started it. Let's be honest about it. Let's call it what it is, okay? And so this is like the height of cancel culture. How dare you disagree with Israel? You're fired. And it's not, and none of them, by the way, said from river to the sea at all. They said war crimes and genocide. Those are the trigger words, apparently. But those are just facts. Srebrenica, 6,000 Muslims killed. That was called a genocide because they targeted them for being Muslim, right? And so it doesn't. It's not Holocaust. It's not the same thing. You're just targeting based on ethnicity and killing a certain number of people and mass relocation. There's no question. It's definitional. But it's such a. There's one hero in that CAA agent story. But it's such a
Tom
bad,
Cruise?
Well, along with Tom Cruise, because you already said Tom. But it's such a bad precedent to set, and such a bad look. Like if you're Steven Spielberg, who apparently, if you believe the reporting, I don't know that it's, I wasn't there, but or any of these other guys who pressured CAA to fire her. That's such a bad look, guys.
Wait, Steven
At a time
Spielberg
of anti-Semitism, you don't go around going, she dared to speak out against Israel. Fire her.
No, Spielberg. Right? Wait, I don't. It says
I read it in one of the articles. I'm not putting it on Spielberg. Like there was a whole bunch of people internally at CAA and externally, their clients. And he was mentioned in one of the articles. He's not the pivotal guy. It's not, his name's not important. The point is, a whole bunch of people said, let's fire her because she's dared to say a political statement we don't agree with.
Yeah.
Even though it's technically and factually true, right? The other hero, other than Tom Cruise, was J.J. Abrams. So he apparently stepped up behind the scenes. Was like, what are you guys doing? No, don't fire her. And so,
you know what's really
great job.
interesting?
Thank you, J.J. Abrams.
You know who actually, I don't know where they stand now, But you know who actually has been like incredibly critical of the Benjamin Netanyahu administration? And it's someone you would not expect. It's someone whose brother you've called a donkey and is the reason why you were you may or may not have left WME, as a matter of fact. But Ari Emanuel. Yeah, Ari Emanuel has been like, because I looked into it to see, like, I wonder what his perspective is, because, like, obviously Rahm is like fucking reactionary piece of shit, right?
Well,
so
those
thought
are two different things, though. So and Rahm served in the IDF too. So Ari Emanuel supports Israel 200%, and I'm sure there's a million things we disagree on. But that's the great thing about Jewish culture, is that it not only like allows for dissent, but it advocates dissent. It wants you. It wants to have these. You're supposed to challenge the rabbi, etc. So there's tons and tons of both Israelis and Jewish Americans who can't stand Netanyahu and who want to get rid of Netanyahu.
Yeah.
So and Ari Emanuel's in that camp, and bless his heart for that. He's like, how much more do we have to deal with this shit? Right? He's totally incompetent, totally self-obsessed, totally corrupt. Let's get rid of this son of a bitch.
Yeah. It was Maha Dakhil is who we're talking about, by the way, who worked with big name celebrities, including Tom Cruise, Reese Witherspoon, Natalie Portman, Ava DuVernay, and Hathaway stepped down from the internal board of the Creative Artists Agency following backlash for her incendiary posts. What were the incendiary posts, I wonder? Usually it's like, look, it's not a secret. I've been saying this since October 7th. You have to be very careful when you criticize Israel. It's just the truth. You have to be. For two reasons. One, because you do not want to say anything that can be misconstrued as anti-Semitic, because anti-Semitism is bigoted, is hateful, it's unacceptable. The other reason is because there are certainly going to be people that want to misconstrue your message to say, oh yeah, look at it, he's being anti-Semitic. And when that happens, when your words are cynically misconstrued, if you are especially approaching a criticism of Israel from a callous perspective, because you know that, let's say, morality is on your side, and you say something as callous as, like, maybe not even as callous, but like marginally, 10% as callous as like Amy Schumer, for example, who's been like baying and cackling like a fucking hyena about how all Palestinians are fucking rapists and deserve death and destruction. Or Sarah Silverman, who literally justified that we must cut the electricity and food and water to the Gaza Strip, only to be rewarded with a Daily Show a broadcasting opportunity. Or Brett Gelman. All of these guys who were just like saying disgusting, freakish things about Palestinians and how they have to be ethnically cleansed. They will never get punished. You, on the other hand, if you say something that can even be remotely misconstrued, will absolutely get punished. Sometimes by onlookers who don't realize what you're trying to say, and in other instances by the likes of ADL, which, in my opinion, have openly shown that they do not care about real anti-Semitism. They simply care about anti-Zionism. I think that Johnathan Greenblatt's actions demonstrate this reality. The actions that have been criticized by a lot of liberal Zionists as well.
I didn't know that Sarah Silverman said that. That's disappointing. I really like her. I'm hoping that she realizes it was a mistake. I'll look it up later. And
she said that she was high.
Okay, well,
she got high when she said.
Okay, at least she's like saying my bad. So for Johnathan Greenblatt, look, he did great work during the Trump Muslim ban and all that stuff. And so, he's a mixed bag. He's done
Greenblatt?
Yeah, in sticking up for Muslims, Americans, and other people. But whenever it comes to Israel, he thinks that it's his job to defend Israel, and it isn't. You're misconstruing your job, brother. That's AIPAC and Democratic Majority for Israel, etc. You're supposed to be standing up for Jewish Americans. And so the way that he throws around the word anti-Semitism in regards to defending any Israeli policies, deeply counterproductive.
No, they fully went back to like 1990, early 90s ADL, collaborating with fucking apartheid South African agents and spying on the Jewish left. It's basically back to that level of ADL this time around.
Yeah, and you're ruining credibility of the organization.
No, it's gone. It is lit on fire. And I think Johnathan Greenblatt openly recognized it. Even the former president of ADL literally tweeted out, Johnathan Greenblatt is a piece of shit basically. Like, I mean, he didn't
And
say
that
those
was
words.
because like of what he's doing to defend Elon Musk.
Yes.
Too. And so that's like, you know what? I mean, I don't even want to bring him up, but it's a perfect analogy. Rabbi Shmuley, right? So he goes and attacks me in like in an insane lunatic way on Piers Morgan, calls me every name in the book, but then it turns out he was the guy defending Bobby Kennedy for saying that coronavirus is genetically designed to avoid Ashkenazi Jews, and he defended Michael Jackson when he wrote "Beat Me, Jew Me" in a song. So he's like a little paid bitch to defend anti-Semites.
Oh, hold on. Well, not anti-Semites in this case, but he's also defended my favorite defender of Israel / defender of the constitutional reasons as to why we should look into lowering the age of consent laws, the Dersh. Did you know that?
Uh-huh.
He defended Alan Dershowitz when Virginia Giuffre came out and said Alan Dershowitz, assaulted me. Friend to Jeffrey Epstein, Alan Dershowitz. He defended.
Of course he did, right? Because he doesn't have what does he have a congregation somewhere? Rabbi, right? He has this non-profit where most of the money goes to him and his wife and their house, I think. So you can look it up. You can see the exact details, right? You don't take my word for it. My opinion is that Rabbi Shmuley is a corrupt defender of anti-Semites and does it for money and is one of the worst pieces of shit there is in media. But you can look it up. That's just my opinion.
Yeah. Anyway, so this decision from the CIA was made after Dakhil reposted an Instagram story on Wednesday, which read in part, "You're currently learning who supports genocide." She added her own message over the repost stating, "That's the line for me." That's it. What's more heartbreaking than witnessing genocide? Witnessing the denial that the genocide is happening. That's why the fucking CIA guys were like, "That's a bridge too far, actually, madam."
Yeah.
Yeah. Can't wait to make sick ass fucking movies 10 years down the line about how, there were brave defenders of the Palestinians or whatever the fuck. Like, think about it this way. What are like some of the top movies right now? Martin Scorsese's historical rendition of Killers of the Flower Moon. Killers of the Flower Moon. Like, what are we doing? What the fuck are we doing here? Like, you guys don't realize you can't draw a fucking parallel to what's happening? I guess they just like want those in Hollywood just like don't really give a shit about ethnic cleansing happening because it turns out it makes really good movies. Oppenheimer is another one. Exactly. Oh, she's pressing buttons. Calm down. No. Anyway, guys, love you all, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.